thought we'd reach out today and just give you some tips that might actually help if you've transitioned to working from home, or you've now got a remote office from home, you're running your business from home. The reason we are positioned to offer that advice, or have the right to offer that advice really, is that for the last 20 years combined, both Cam and I have run our businesses from our home offices. So we all the mistakes that perhaps you're making now, we've made them all many times over. And so we've just got a few productivity, and what I call hard and soft productivity tips. So hard productivity tips are some tools that you can use, and the soft productivity tips are more mindset things and little tricks and tips that we've picked up over the years through those 20 combined years of trial and error. So look, if you get 2 or 3 things out of today that helps you cope with the isolation, then fantastic, we've done our job, and hopefully it will be helpful to you in terms of your productivity and also keeping your sanity, right, in this these lockdown times, which are unprecedented for all of us. So Cam, do you want to talk about some productivity tools that are useful?
Yeah, absolutely. But before we go, we've already got a few people on the live, Steve. So if you're watching on this live, and I know you are, if you just want to pop in the comments section below that you're watching the live by typing the word live in the comments, that would be great. We'd really appreciate that, so we know that you're on the live with us. So thank you very much. That'd be cool. And if you're watching the replay, also just comment in the replay, comment replay in the comments below, and that'd be really good. So thanks very much, folks. That'd be really great. Now,
thanks for the reminder, Cam. I forgot that little bit as well. Thanks for that.
Yeah, that's okay. We're rookies at this. You know, this is part of COVID-19. You know, we're all transitioning and doing business a little bit differently. You know, Steve and I are very used to speaking in live rooms, at live workshops, live events, and you know, we're using new tools and getting on board with doing Facebook Live, so we reach out to more people and help more people. So today's topic, Steve, how to run a business from a home office during COVID-19. And you asked me about some productivity tips. Yep. So for me, the first thing that I like to do in the morning is a bit of exercise. I think that's critical. You know, you can get, I mean, I have a joke with my family, and that after breakfast, I say I'm going off to work, and I just walk down the hallway. So, but it's really important before you go off to work to just get in the right frame of mind. And for me personally, I just find starting the day with some sort of activity, some sort of way to move your body, whether you like to lift weights or go for a run or walk the dog. You know, it doesn't have to be formal, but just to get the blood flowing. And I don't know about you, Steve, but I've found in the past, you know, when I do that, I get a lot of solutions. You know, I get a lot of problems solved in my own mind, and I come up with new ideas that I maybe wouldn't have thought of speaking to clients and coaching clients, you know, online or on the internet or over the phone. So I like to use that time not only to, you know, exercise physically, but also to refresh mentally, and it's a good way to start the day. After that, obviously breakfast, Steve, is super important. So, you know, I'll mix my breakfast up with some juice. So I like carrot and orange juice to kind of kickstart the day, or I'll have a banana protein shake type thing, and then I'll get into my work day. Now, when I start work, the first thing I do before I turn on the computer and get into things is I'll write down 3 big rocks. And my 3 big rocks, Steve, are what are those 3 things that are absolutely essential that I'm going to strive for? I don't always complete my 3 big rocks, but what are the 3 big rocks that I'm going to achieve today, the 3 big things that I want to get done? You know, because people will ring you up, people will send you a message, you can get distracted. So what are those 3 things that I'm going to keep focused on? And I just set those on a little card just next to the computer or whatever device I'm working on, just to keep me focused for the day. So that would be my first productivity tip, Steve. What about yourself?
Nice. I'm a little bit different, Cam, in that I guess I'm a little bit more in the creative kind of field. So I do things a little bit more less routine-like. However, I still do, you know, I do yoga a couple of times a week in the morning from 6 till 7. I will go for a walk on the beach. Sometimes it'll be a run. Sometimes it used to be going to the gym for boxing in the morning. So I like to have that variety. You know, coming from an education background where it was very rigid and regimented, I've kind of gone almost the other way. in doing that.
Right, yeah.
You say you write down your 3 big rocks. The thing that works really well for me is I either in a journal or a piece of paper, I draw a line down the middle, and on the left-hand side, I write things that I will do today, and I bullet point 3 or 4 or 5 things. And then on the other side, I write things I would like the universe to do for me today. And
right, well,
so universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, and I write down some big things that I want, and then I just let it go. And often that thing of letting it go is the thing that then frees up your mind. I just want to touch on something you said before, Cam, too, with that when the ideas come to you in those moments when you're not really thinking, like when you're going for a run or a walk, walking the dog. That's, it's those times when you get into the alpha brainwave state, and that's really when it sort of opens up your subconscious and those sorts of things. So yeah, whenever you can go for a walk, just sit and be still. Sometimes I meditate in the morning. So whenever you can do those things that get you out of the hustle and bustle and the routine of the world, that can lead to big ideas. Now, I know, though, that some people aren't so much like that. Some people like to get dressed in their work clothes, put on their tie, drive around the block, come back and go into the home office and go to work. I think you've got to you've got to try some things that work for you. Now, personally, I just would find that a complete waste of time. But that's just me. I've found out what works for me. I did try that once or twice, and after the third time, I thought, what's the point?
It's a waste of fuel.
It's a waste of fuel in 10 minutes, right? Like, what's the point? So you do have to try these things. And if that kind of thing works for you, if you're used to being in front of clients with a tie and a collared shirt on or whatever, or a uniform, then by all means put that on and go to work. But it's a matter of, knowing yourself and knowing what works.
Yeah. I mean, I have a very casual uniform. Like, I like to put a polo shirt on. I'm a big T-shirt wearer. I like to wear T-shirts. So for me, when I go to work and turn up to work, I actually put a polo shirt on. I have specific work shorts or pants that I put on. And I know you're different, Steve, and that's what makes the world a beautiful place, is we're all different. But for me, what I find works is that getting dressed for work. And that's my little routine. I'll put my uniform on, so to speak, and that's my uniform, right? And then at the end of the day, I'll take my uniform off, to go and cook dinner or work out or whatever it is. And so for me, I have that mental shift between one and the other, and I know then I'm on or off.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too, Cam, is because I'm a writer, right? Sometimes I will just get a bit of inspiration, and I'll go and write for a couple of hours, right? And that might be totally out of any of that routine. Now, if you don't have a creative writing role, that's not always easy to do that. So I acknowledge that, but just for the writers listening, when you are in that creative space, sometimes that spontaneity is really good. I mean, I think you've got to remember too, the whole 9 to 5 thing is very much a industrial revolution kind of model, where you go to the factory and you come home from the factory. Now, work and especially now, the world of work has changed. So I would encourage anyone to just try different things to see what produces more flow and less force. And you and I were talking about this the other day. Lee Childs, the creator of the Jack Reacher novels, he was quoted in a story I was reading that nothing good ever happens before 1 p.m. In other words, he's an afternoon, evening kind of person. Whereas some people are morning people. So you've got to work out what works for you. Yeah,
that's good. And so moving away from personal productivity tips and moving into maybe some tools, Steve, what are some tools that we all know and we all use that maybe some people haven't come across before, that help them, manage different projects and stay on track and keep everything in one place?
Yeah. So, Cam, there's a few things what I would call bigger tools and some bigger tools for communication and management, and some smaller tools that are good for quick communication. I might just start there. So the two that I use a lot are WhatsApp and Voxer. They're free. They're free apps to download on your phone, and that's where you just want to record a quick voice message, or you wanted to send a quick message to team members or clients or whatever it might be. So those two are really good, fast ones. You don't have to pay for them via a text, and they're quicker and easier to write than an email. And because they're going to a phone, there's a good chance that they will be seen a lot quicker than, say, an email would or anything like that. So it's always good to have those little tools. Now, again, they're not new. They have been around for a while, but you may not use them. So the thing is, the person on the other end, whether it's a client or your team members, obviously need to have the app as well, so that you can communicate that way.
And I'll just add to that, Steve, that maybe some people may or may not be aware of, particularly with WhatsApp, because I use WhatsApp. you can actually get WhatsApp web. So it's like web.whatsapp. And so you can do WhatsApp on your desktop or your laptop as well. So you can have your phone there. And of course, you've got your phone to do your WhatsApp messages like you would, say, SMS. But you can also, keep working and keep your productivity up by doing WhatsApp on your desktop as well, if you're communicating to people.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit like Skype. It's just it can be on a mobile device, and it's quicker and easier.
Yeah.
So those are the quick communication tools, and we've got some other ones for meetings and project planning. If you want to have a quick rundown of those, Cam.
Yeah, so some of the tools that we use in our team are things like Teamwork. It's a project management tool, Basecamp, Asana, things like that. We use Teamwork primarily for managing projects and helping clients keep communications all in one area. So anytime we're working with a client and we have a particular project to work on, there's usually like 4 or 5 things going on at any one time in one project. And so what we do, Steve, within that project management tool, we create themes, or we call them notebooks, and then we create a notebook just about that particular component, that particular task of the big overall project. And what we find is that way communications don't get messed up with one another. Like you might be, say, doing front-end website development, but then you need some back-end marketing automation that's going to work with your website or with your sales funnel. So rather than just lump all that in together, or lump all that in together, we separate that in separate notebooks, so that if someone wants to comment about the marketing automation, or they want to comment about the copywriting, or they want to comment about the website, they just go to that particular notebook. And that's just a little tip that we've found works really well in using Teamwork. The other thing I like about Teamwork, and we're not here to promote any one particular app, but Teamwork has a nice little tasks board as well, Steve. And so you can create tasks also based on projects, and you can just slide them across like a drop and drag type system. So that's a really cool feature as well.
Yeah, and there are others like Trello, Asana, Basecamp, and all those sorts of things. And we often get asked for recommendations, which is the best one. Well, it is a kind of a Holden Ford type argument. They all work, and they all work in their own way. Microsoft Teams, you can throw that one there. They all work in their own way. It's just a matter of I like some features of things and other features of other things. And one thing I have found is I don't like everything about every single one of those kind of project management tools,
Yeah.
And probably the other thing too, Cam, I think it's really important in conducting meetings. If we just talk about the meeting apps, that we use, for example, Skype, and Zoom, they're probably the two most popular ones, but also Microsoft Teams has a video feature as well. If ever you're having a meeting with a client or your team members, and it's a formal meeting, use video. Why? Well, 58, I think it is, 58% of communication is visual. So it really does pay to have, to be able to see someone else like this. It's more personable, it's more connecting, it's more engaging. And, especially in, these self-isolation, work from home office kind of times, being able to see someone breaks down, doesn't do it completely, but it breaks down that isolation. And when you are working from home, as you and I know, it can be quite isolating, and that can become a challenge. So wherever you can, find ways to enhance that connection, not necessarily diminish the connection. I think that's really important. So Ken, we've talked about some soft things, we've talked about some project management tools, some communication tools for quick communication, and communication tools for meetings. Is there anything else that you can think of that we may include in that I might have missed or you might have missed?
No, the only thing I'll add to that, Steve, when we're talking about Skype or Zoom meetings and showing up on video, don't feel as though that you've got to get, dressed up and show up in a professional way. Like, even post COVID-19, people are going to be more open than ever to seeing the human side of you. So don't worry about it if, you're not looking your sharpest, or, you're not the best on camera, or you've never been on camera before. Like, we're all in this together, right? And so, as Steve said, the best way to relate to people is just to share your video, jump on the video. And my only tip would be just to make sure you block out any background noise. That's probably the most irritating thing for people, is not so much what they see, but what they hear going on in the background whilst they're in the meeting.
Yeah, and if you hate seeing yourself on camera, hate hearing your voice on camera, join the club. Everyone kind of hates that, especially at first, right? We all think, oh,
Put your hands up.
do I sound
Yeah.
like that? Do I look like that? You know, you just sort of got to get over it and push on. I'd like to leave the folks listening with one other tip, Cam, and it's a good productivity tip. In your breaks, get out in the sun. The sun on your back, whether it's a vitamin D thing, whether it's a connecting with Mother Earth, whatever it is, I find getting out in the sun is refreshing and invigorating, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Now, it's especially so in winter when it's cool. You know, it's really energizing. Not so much in summer when it's boiling hot, but any time in the sun during your day to break up that isolation within the office, you know, is invaluable for your productivity and your sanity. And that's one thing I do. I make sure I do several times a day to, you know, to look after myself, as it were.
Yeah, that's really great. All right, Steve, well, we're almost out of time. We've hit the 15-minute mark. We've had fun again, as always. Time flies when you have fun.
Sure does.
But before we go, I just want to share with everyone our workshop we've got coming up on the 29th of April. It's a Business Reinvented workshop called Transition and Traction, and we're helping people transition their business online, or if they're already doing well or doing okay online, to get even more traction. So if you're interested in working more closely with Steve and I, we've got a 2.5-hour online, very interactive workshop coming up on the 29th of April. We'll be doing implementation with you during the workshop, putting you in little breakout rooms and giving you activities to do. So it's not your usual death by PowerPoint, Steve, where you have to sit through a webinar or anything like that. It's more of a hands-on workshop, but interactive and on the internet, you know, doing what we're doing now, but with other people.
Yeah, well, the teacher and the coach, right?
Yeah.
The coach.
So
which way am I pointing that way? Whichever way Cam is on your screen.
That's right. So we've just got John Dwyer just popped on, Steve.
Long time no see. How are you?
Nice to see you, JD. Thanks for dropping by. So that's really cool. So yeah, look, if you want to come along and work with Steve and I for 2.5 hours on your business, so it's working on your business, implementing some marketing tools, implementing some sales strategies to help you, you know, what is through COVID-19 and even beyond, Steve. We'd love for you to join us at that workshop, at that interactive workshop. And you can find all the information about that on our website that we've set up, and that's at businessreinvented.com.au. And we'll pop that in the chat as well, Steve.
All right, and if we had time for some really bad jokes, we could put JD on live, but we don't. So just remember, folks, Business Reinvented.
I reckon he's got a couple of good jokes.
.com.au, yep, and it will be a live interactive thing, and, you know, we'll have a lot of fun. It won't just be slide after slide, as Cam said. Yep.
Yeah, excellent. All right, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Cam. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye.